Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Try that again. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? All right. I like call and response. It's very important. She said a preacher. Amen. I'll take that. So first, I just wanted to really quickly just say thank you to everyone who put on this event. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in my story is the power of narratives and the power of stories, especially for oppressed people. It can be healing. So big ups and hand clap for Teachers Democracy Project, Baltimore Algebra Project, and New Lens for putting this together. My name is Charnell Covert, and I'm the adult facilitator for Baltimore Algebra Project. Good to see folks out. And my stories are going to be two short stories from when I was a student and one as an educator/advocate. So as a young person, I worked with the Baltimore Algebra Project very intensely as a youth organizer, community organizer, and our human resource manager, which was kind of tricky because most adults are very used to people being in those positions who are older. So the level of respect for the work that we did is usually in some ways undervalued due to ageism. And this became particularly true when I was in my IB math studies class. I had a white South African teacher, and we had just had a large protest led by the Algebra Project, a walkout at school, protesting the teacher cutoffs in support of great teachers like all of you guys. And in the press conference, which we had put together, we had a panel of young people and parents and teachers talking about the effect that it would have on an already underfunded, already understaffed school system to lose another 30% of teachers. And I made the comment that this was akin historically to school systems of apartheid in South Africa, where black teachers were very small in number and where qualified black teachers and black male teachers would not be in the space. And so this ran in the sun. The next day I came to class. I should say I didn't really like this math teacher for a number of reasons, but I kept my discipline in his class as much as I could. And so the article came up, and so he decided that he was going to publicly shame me. So he held up the article and he said, "Everybody read this article." He said, "You probably didn't read it because you don't read the newspaper anyway." And so folks are like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Your classmate said that your school conditions," by the way, I went to City for high school. City nights. "Your school conditions are so terrible that they are akin to South Africa." She's never been to South Africa. She doesn't know. "Why don't you come up and defend yourself?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you like to debate." I said, "No, I like to point out the facts and make connections. I like to organize for my city, and I like to feel empowered, but I'm not going to debate you on an issue that's based on your preconceived notions." And he said, "Well, if I'm telling you that you have to have this debate, I'm telling you no, right?" So it kept going back and forth. He kept saying, "Come up." I said, "No, come up, no." So finally it turned into, finally it turned into well, you need to go to the principal's office. Pretty much a straight A student, involved in a lot of clubs, very well respected. The principal said, "Why is she here?" He says, "I want her expelled because she doesn't know how to respect authority." And I said, "Why do you want me expelled?" He said, "Well, you don't listen." I said, "Do you want me to expel because I don't listen or because I don't listen to you?" And I began to talk to my principal about the grievances. So as a real organizer, I gathered grievances about this particular teacher and other, unfortunately, white teachers who were being quite racist in our classrooms. And I said that there are a list of grievances that have affected us. And so the policy that I wanted to highlight is that within our schools, the disrespect that we have for students and their expertise and their knowledge and their brilliance is apparent in the translation of how we talk to them and how we expect nothing more from them but to sit down and shut up. And whenever somebody contradicts that, especially if it's in a black body or a black woman body, it becomes a problem. And I think it's very important to cultivate and treat that. The last story I wanted to tell, so fast forward, I've been an educator and education advocate for years after leaving Algebra Project and now working back with Algebra Project, is in New York City public schools, very similar to Baltimore City public schools. And because of those internalized oppression, students not being able to even picture a teacher who looks like them and who holds radical politics. So the first day of class, I do an experiment where I sit down in the class and I let folks talk. And they were like, "Where's this teacher? They late, what's going on, da, da, da." And so I stood up in front of the class, this is college by the way, at CUNY, City University of New York, and they're like, "You're the professor? Where's your tweed jacket? Where's your cigar?" Right? So this image of what teachers look like. And I think as we begin to move towards more culturally relevant pedagogy, but also more culturally relevant community-controlled schools, we can change the dialogue of our students as the leaders and our students as experts. Is that all right? Yeah. So those are my stories and what I wanted to connect in terms of education advocacy. Thank you.